broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello everybody and welcome to another special episode of The Unhappy Hour here on the TNAM Radio Network, part of the NewAmericanMedia.com. My name's Brian Engelman, I am your host, and happy birthday, Mom. It is her birthday on 12/12, so happy birthday, Mama. Thanks for birthing me and such and putting up with me. I know it wasn't easy. But hey, you know it's not easy. What else isn't easy? What I will not thank my mother for is raising me in Northeast Ohio, because I am an Indians, Browns, Cavs, and Buckeye fan, and it's been a very tough life with the Cavs, Indians, and Browns, never winning a title in my lifetime, and it's never been easy being a Browns fan. Yeah, fine. Bernie Kosar gave us a few moments. You know, Jim Brown, of course. I mean, that's like hearing about the moon landing or the Bible. Like, we weren't around for it. I get that it happened, but it didn't, like, hit me. It didn't, you know, I wasn't a part of it. I can't think of Jim Brown. I wasn't there. What we remember is Bottlegate and Dwayne Rudd and Art Modell and, you know, just horrible stuff. John Elway's drive and the fumble. It has not been easy being a Cleveland Browns fan. And today I'm going to welcome back to the program Brandon Odell, somebody who also shares the same affliction as myself, being a lifelong Cleveland Browns fan, season ticket holder, etc. But before I get to Brandon, I just want to say, if you haven't been to our website, it's called thenewamericanmedia.com. Or actually, since the Buckeyes are in the national championship, it's not a game, the national championship series. It's not a bowl championship. What the hell are they even calling it? Hey, you know what? The Final Four. The Buckeyes are up there, so for this episode, I'll call it thenewamericanmedia.com, because they call it the Ohio State University. But go to thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side, it's the TNAM radio button. That's where you click to listen live. Underneath that, it's our Facebook feed. You can like it or do a search for The New American Media with spaces in between. Like the page. Right there as well as our Twitter feed. We're at American_media_. That's American_media_. And please subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. We had a little early Christmas present. I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. We surpassed 400,000 video views, 2,000 subscriptions. So whoever you guys and girls are out there, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it this time of year when we're thinking Thanksgiving and Christmas and thinking of others, and I really do appreciate it. So now, the Browns. The Browns had a wonderful opportunity just a few games ago to really get things going. And unfortunately, we've kind of taken a nosedive, and that's where I'm going to bring in Brandon Odell to the program. Brandon, welcome back, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. You know, you talk about, John Elway and the drive and, some of those, just heartbreaking moments after getting so close and being so good. And, I think that, this Indianapolis Colts loss this past week, certainly will rank up there in my mind for just how many smack-your-forehead moments there were in the fourth quarter of that game, especially, will rank up there in infamy with some of the worst of the Browns' all-time losses.
Now, were you at that game live? I know you do have the season tickets, and you split it up, so I'm not sure if you were at that particular game.
No, I was not, and certainly glad that I was not.
Yeah.
I went to the Ravens game that we went to,
right,
where there was certainly some slap-your-forehead moments in that game at the end, but I also went to see them win against the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Oh, okay, yeah. We were at that Ravens game earlier this year, and it came down to a field goal, and Cundiff missed a field goal, and you're kind of nailing it. It's a smack yourself in the forehead, except mine's more of a drop F-bombs, and I can't really control it. And if I'm in public or around other people, it's like, man, I'm sorry, you just can't be around me on game day. Like, I played on it.
I will absolutely, positively not bring my daughter to a regular season game until she is
what age?
At least 16.
16?
Yeah.
Growing up in your household, she's got really 16? I'm sure she'll hear and see some things. 14?
A regular season game. I would take her to a preseason game.
At what age for preseason? 13?
The regular season games, you need to have the ability to be inappropriate, and I wouldn't feel quite the same being that inappropriate around my daughter.
Well, okay, so what age for preseason games?
Oh, for a preseason game, I mean, shoot, like 9 or 10 or something like that.
Okay. Well, I was wondering if you were at this game physically, because sometimes those games take on a little bit more of an epic proportion because we were there. We remember certain. It just takes on a different place in our memory because we
Well, and
lived it with
we
them.
definitely will have one of those this week, and I unfortunately cannot say that this was one of my games either. My father will be there this Sunday, and he will, for better or for worse, be able to say that he was there for Johnny Manziel's first start, and that's something kind of cool, even if you are or are not a fan of the guy.
Yeah, and my point with that is that he hasn't taken a snap yet. Okay, fine. Okay, yes, he did take snaps. He hasn't started and played a full game yet, is what I'm getting at. And he's got a shot. And they're giving it to him. I'm just wondering if they're getting to him a few games too late, and that's a question I want to ask you. But first, with the Indianapolis game, man, what are the takeaways from that game? Losing 24-25, the last second, the way that we did. I really felt like Brian Hoyer got blamed for a couple of things he didn't do. He on that last play, he really hit Gordon, the NFL, allegedly one of the NFL's best receivers, in both of his hands, laying out to get into field goal range, and he dropped it and kind of hurt himself on the play. It was a great throw. Of course, he had a couple of just horrible overshoots that could have been easy touchdowns, but then he had a couple of good throws. And some of the ones that were really bad weren't his fault. Other people ran wrong routes, and that's kind of been the case the past few weeks. How much of the loss do you put on Brian Hoyer for the Colts game?
You always want to. You never want to put it on one person, and you always realize that it's a team sport, and the whole team. You win as a team, and you lose as a team. And certainly, everything isn't Brian Hoyer's fault, but the proof is in the pudding. And when you've when you're he showed the ability earlier in the year to lift the play of those around him. And when you are a good or great quarterback, you are able to lift the play of those around you. And instead, it seemed that in the last month of the season here, the play of most around him has gone backwards. And certainly, you want to say that you saw Josh Gordon do so well in his first game back, and then has clearly regressed in the last two. Nobody really should have expected him to just be great every game, coming into such a strange situation as he was. So I don't put I guess the point I'm trying to make is, yes, there are other factors besides besides Brian Hoyer at play here. I don't fault him for that, but the last four games he just hasn't been getting it done. We should have blown out Atlanta. We should have won going away in Atlanta. And
that was a 2-point game it should not have been that close. It was a 2-point game.
And we should have most likely, at the very least, if we should have lost to Buffalo 25-24. Buffalo, if they I think were the better team one way or the other.
On that day, it seemed like they had us, but a little bit, not by 16 points, no.
Exactly, 25-24 them. But this past week, we clearly on defense just absolutely outplayed one of the very best players in football, and when the defense is able to spot you 14 points, I mean, can you imagine what would a 14-point spread in pro football look like? A 14-point spread is like the New England Patriots of 2000 and what was it, like 2009 or whatever, when they went undefeated, versus the Detroit Lions that were 0-16 that same year. Like that's when they're making those spreads, that's what a 14-point spread looks like. And you think about the fact that the defense gave us 14 points, and all the offense had to do was just decent, and we would have clearly won that game. So either way, that some of that has to go on the quarterback. And just like the President of the United States tends to take a lot of the blame for Congress's missteps, so must the quarterback and the head coach of a football team take the blame for the missteps of their assistant coaching staff and the, other 52 players on the roster besides the starting quarterback.
Well, one of the biggest problems was, yes, we were spotted 14 points, but on top of it, I mean, we should have converted. We had other opportunities, and we didn't convert on anything. I mean, talk about Billy Cundiff and how, man, have you ever missed Phil Dawson so much in your entire life, Brandon?
Oh, and Phil Dawson probably, with the chaos going on in San Francisco right now, would have loved to be able to be here and to be a part of what's happening here.
Because he had been with the Browns how many years? 15 years or something since 99 to 2012. I mean, 13 years? I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but Phil Dawson was one of the originals.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Browns did bring in other kickers to try him out, and apparently Billy Cundiff won his job again. But I mean, that's something that needs to be replaced. He really has personally cost us a few games, and my question back to now. Oh well, before I get to that, you talked about the decline over the past month or so. Lost to Houston, lost to Buffalo, lost to Indianapolis. We got rid of Ben Tate a few weeks ago, kind of around the same time things started going wrong. I don't really think that that's the case, but it's very coincidental, and I don't believe in coincidence.
Well, we outplayed we outplayed Indianapolis without a doubt, and we lost that game. We absolutely outplayed the Falcons, and we won that game by the skin of our teeth. We deserved to lose against Houston. Houston outplayed us clearly that game. We deserved to lose to Buffalo. We were outplayed there. So, after we started getting things rolling a little bit against some subpar competition, I think we got a little bit ahead of ourselves, and maybe we need to take a step back and realize that even if they did finish 7-9, that's way better than what anyone expected, and it's going in the right direction. And any other wins they get at this point, let's consider it like a big bonus for ourselves as far as like how good we thought the team could possibly, finish. So,
I mean, that Thursday night win against the Bengals was enormous, blowing them out by 21 at their house, nationally televised, beating Pittsburgh by 21, and it really wasn't even that close. This team, being a one-point game against the Colts, and of course the Saints aren't as good as we thought they were, and that was a winnable Baltimore game earlier in the year, but I get what you're saying, that it's all kind of bonus from here on out, but I mean, these really are important games, and I always expect that we're a playoff team. I always expect that they just get their act together and make it happen, and the question about Johnny Manziel, that's the big story this week, do you think that they should have gone to him a few games ago? Because every now and then your starting pitcher doesn't have it and you go to your bullpen. They did that a little bit with Buffalo, and they totally tanked, that against the Colts. But really, I mean, you could go back, like you said, about a month to the last time Brian Hoyer was playing decent football. Do you think they should have gone with Johnny sooner, or is this exactly perfect?
Perfect is the wrong word, but, you can't second-guess yourself at this point as a head coach. I think that Coach Mike Pettin thought that he was doing what was best for his team, and maybe it was a game or two too late. But you want when everything is going well, you always want to say you can go with the veteran over the rookie, and that's what he was trying to do, and he was trying to show his players that he's a man of his word, and that he's got the integrity to do what he says he's going to do, and stick with you through hard times and stuff. But Brian Hoyer even knows. I mean, he just he hasn't performed, and that's all there is to it. So hopefully Manziel can. I mean, everything that I've been reading about it said that there's a lot more energy, and the offense has been rejuvenated, and I think that that's just natural a little bit, just because of the fact that I think Brian Hoyer's probably in a big funk right now mentally, besides how, and that obviously translates to the field. And so you get a new guy in with, high hopes, and hasn't played enough to get those hopes dashed yet.
Well, Manziel has been putting in extra time. That's what they're saying. Joe Hayden invited him out to go to a Cavs game again, and he said, nope, I'm staying at the facility, putting in extra time, looking at the defenses and doing more stuff, which is maybe what they want him to do in the first place. But, I mean, at some point, these people do go home and they have lives. I mean, hell, just because, if there's someone that's a teacher, a police officer, a salesman, it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, you don't want to do it 24 hours a day. That's insane. Nobody wants to do that. So, I mean, everybody needs to decompress. Problem is, when you see Johnny decompressing, he's on a swan. Nothing wrong with the swan and the bottle of champagne. I mean, hell, who hasn't done stuff like that? Maybe the rolled-up dollar bill and the cocaine in Vegas, allegedly. All right, now we're having an issue. And maybe the fight outside of his elevator, which I've been to. I was there when I was back. It's interesting because everybody seems to live in that building. And there's a really cool club in the basement. It's it's an old bank, and they turn it into a nightclub. But anyway, yeah, and then involved in a scuffle. They don't want to see that out of Manziel. But talk about Brian Hoyer's troubles. He doesn't have a contract next year. I mean, do you think that finally started playing a role in just it's weighing on him and it's unresolved and it's hard to kind of focus on the now when you're thinking, man, I could be one play away from never playing again and I have no money for my family. Do you think that might have something to do with it?
Well, that's a great point, Brian. I think that I'm sure that some of that pressure got to him, but, ultimately, great players are going to be able to make great plays when it counts the most, and it shouldn't matter whether or not it's a contract year or anything like that. Have you ever worried about Tom? I mean, I'm not comparing, Brian Hoyer to being at that level, but you don't hear about Tom Brady and Peyton Manning being worried about their contract year when they're when they're playing football.
No, and I get that you're not comparing the two, so let me compare those again. It's different when you got $100 million in the bank versus you've been a backup player your whole life.
You've been there, done that versus trying to get there.
Definitely differences, but you're saying the superstars find a way past it and they just get through and they succeed. And people said Brian Hoyer was nothing but.
My point is, it's no excuse. It's absolutely no excuse.
Well, the Colts game, definitely, there was no excuse to not win a game based on how fantastic the defense had been playing. Mike Pettin came over, former defensive coordinator over with the Buffalo Bills, and you've seen this team take shape. I want to tell you about this story here on Dog Pound Daily. It says Browns secondary is dominating. The Cleveland Browns secondary was expected to be the prize of the team after this offseason. With Joe Hayden signed to a lucrative extension, Dante Whitner brought in, Justin Gilbert drafted high, and Tayshaun Gibson and Buster Screen coming back, the resources were there. While it took a little while to come together, the Browns secondary is now living up to those expectations. The defense is 9th in passing yards given up. However, they are ranked number 1 by Pro Football Focus by a ton. This is from Kevin Jones in his tweet. He says, quote, "The Browns, by far, are ranked as PFF or Pro Football Focus number 1 secondary in the NFL." Let me repeat. The Browns, by far, are ranked as Pro Football Focus's number 1 secondary in the NFL. Cleveland's 42.2 rating doubles the second-place Seahawks. PFF does a great job. Now, this is back to the article. It says PFF does a great job of not just looking at statistics, but how each player performs given their assignments and responsibilities. They do what most of us do not have the time to do, which is grade each play, each player for each game. And in the end, even with a slow start, the Browns are number 1 by double the vaunted Seattle Seahawks defense. I know you spent a lot more time in high school playing defense and in the secondary and paying attention to that than I did at defensive end. I mean, just for a minute, man, talk about what has been just an enormously pleasant surprise as of late, that Cleveland secondary, man.
Here's what I'll say. It's a shame that the offense is wasting such stellar play from the whole defense, but especially the secondary. I mean, when Tayshaun Gibson went down,
yeah, it was horrible.
Irene would take and it was terrible, and I really thought the team would take a step back defensively in the secondary. And credit to Jim Leonard, he's come in and been basically picked up exactly where Gibson left off. And I think some of that credit has to go to Mike Pettin and Jim O'Neill as far as the scheming that the two of them are able to do together. I think that they're really working well, and the players are starting to really figure out the system. And you do have an elite talent back there in Joe Hayden and some other really solid players who are doing their jobs. As you were saying that Pro Football Focus is measuring. So really good things for the secondary. The next step then is if you have an offense that's playing like it was earlier this season, you can start really shutting down some opponents and really show what we're made of. But right now we're showing signs of being an emerging, an emerging team, but a team that still has flaws that it needs to figure out. And if we say that we had to take a season to learn how to win, I think to some small extent we definitely have started to do that this year, and I think that that's a good sign for the future with Johnny Manziel moving forward.
I think you're right about that, and that is a good point. We are moving forward now, trying to figure things out. And I mean, it was really nice getting Justin Gilbert acclimated. An interception return for a touchdown against Andrew Luck. That's a really good way to kind of get going. We still haven't seen what Pierre Desir has to offer. Are we getting Carlos Dansby back? Is that official now for this game?
He's questionable.
Okay.
So, no, nothing is official yet. But I know Gary Barnidge is out, and I know K'Wan Williams is out, so those two will hurt us a little bit.
Yeah, well, anyway, regardless, this game is all about Johnny Manziel. We're playing the Cincinnati Bengals at home. We already just trounced the Bengals. Did you happen to catch when Little John went to the press conference? Did you happen to see that thing?
I didn't see it, but I did hear about that.
Well, what do you make of Marvin Lewis calling Johnny Manziel a midget? I mean, that just seems like a really dumb thing to do.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. It was a dumb thing to do. It was meant to be just an offhanded joke. I'm not saying that Marvin Lewis is just some amazing person or something, because really I know nothing about the guy, because you follow your own head coach a lot more than you follow your rivals. But most likely it was just an offhand remark told in a setting where you're doing like a bar call-in show, and so you're being a little bit wry and a little bit more raunchy for the audience there, and probably made a joke that we have all done it, where we've said something and about 3 seconds later realized it maybe wasn't necessarily as funny as what we thought it would be,
Yeah, fine. I'll give you that. That has absolutely happened to me in the past. But yeah, they're not going to have Vontaze Burfict in this game, and that's a pretty big deal. He's a heck of a player. He's out.
He was out for the other game too, wasn't he?
Jeez.
I think so.
Might have been. That's a good question. You actually have me stumped on that one.
I think he was. So that's cool that we missed him twice.
Yeah. And what's his name? Over with the Ravens just got suspended. Was it Haloti Ngata? One of their big boys got suspended for 4 games.
Yeah, Haloti Ngata.
Yeah. Well, goodbye, Ngata. No hello. What do you think we're going to get out of Johnny Manziel this week?
I mean, can anybody really know?
No.
It's so hard to predict, and I think that's what makes him the such a polarizing presence, is the fact that no one knows what to expect from him on a day-to-day basis, both on the field and off. So I don't know. I mean, he could go out there and he could perform really, really well, or he could go out there and he could lay an egg. I mean, if the defense is able to do its job again, which I feel confident that they will.
Yeah, I think Andy Dalton might do a little better than last game.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was historically bad last time. I could see him, but I'm saying, like, if we play well defensively, I think that Manziel just has to be average. He has to make. If he throws 2 interceptions, but also accounts for 2 touchdowns, and maybe Isaiah Crowell rushes for 1 more, I think that we win the game.
I think you're right on that, because we had gotten accustomed to average, slightly above average to good quarterback play. Not great, not spectacular, but average, good. I would go so far as to say Brian Hoyer was giving us good football, and it's just what did they call it with Bernie Kosar, Bill Belichick, diminishing skills. Brian Hoyer has a diminishing skill set. We've kind of gotten used to this level of quarterbacking play that's really not NFL worthy. When you're damn near last in the league across the board, anything as a change could be better than the worst. And I think you're right with that. If we could just get a decent performance out of Manziel, I mean, I could see us winning 3 games in a row. Absolutely, I could. With a defense playing lights out the way they have been, absolutely.
And now you don't even know if Carolina's going to have Cam Newton next week. We could end up having DA starting against us. How interesting would that be, huh?
It's tough to think about. What was the game the other day? It was Colt McCoy versus who was our other Brandon Weeden, wasn't it? He was gonna play in that one.
Yeah, earlier this season or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy looking at our former quarterbacks. Yeah, I mean Derek Anderson, dude, seeing Cam Newton, that crash looked horrible, and he's got 2 broken parts of his back, but apparently I don't get how your back can be broken and you're still walking and moving around. I guess that's the same thing Tony Romo's had, but you looked at those pictures and you saw him get wheeled out on a gurney. I mean, I'm no Cam Newton fan. I don't really like the guy, other than the year I had him in fantasy football and he helped me win the division. Thank you. But no, I'm no Carolina Panther fan, but you don't want to see stuff like that happen regardless. That was horrible to watch, but I mean, we could very well be seeing Derek Anderson, Cam Newton's backup, as we put Johnny Manziel in, and we got 3 games to go here. We have a chance. They're at home. It's Manziel's first game. Can you imagine by the way, can you just imagine the energy that place is gonna be? I know you gotta be pissed you're not going, but take that out of the equation as much as you can. Envision what the Muni lot's gonna be like. What's the name of that bar you and I went to when I was there a few months ago?
The dive bar?
Dive bar. What are these places going to be like, and what's the stadium going to be like with Johnny Manziel taking snaps for the first time?
It's going to be rocking. That's all there is to it. It's going to be rocking, and if he could just be average, because everyone's like, oh, he's probably going to throw a couple interceptions. Well, that's Brian Hoyer has been throwing a couple of interceptions a game for a while now, and we still should have won some of these games. So all he needs to do is, if he throws a couple interceptions, to actually, score a couple of touchdowns as well, instead of having to settle for field goals. And I think we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about this. And they just showed a map. They sent it out earlier today where the Cleveland Browns game is going to be shown across the nation. Now keep in mind, these are 2 teams. The Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals both have winning records at this point. I mean, the Browns are 7-6 and the Bengals are 8-4-1, and we're playing. I mean, in arguably the best division in football right now. Some really tough teams in the AFC North, but they showed, because of Johnny Manziel and because of these two teams being competitive. Let's face it, it's really because of Manziel. You look at across our country, this is going to be the national game that people get to see. This is the thing, like, you'd always click on and say, oh, it's the 49ers, oh, it's the Patriots, oh, it's the Packers, oh, it's the Cowboys, because they're popular teams. This is making Cleveland a very popular team this week. Plus, our team's good.
Well, just wait till now think about this. Wait until he wins this game, goes on the road and wins a game in Carolina, and then could you imagine they go into Baltimore with a chance to win the division, and the NFL has flexed that game to the Sunday night football game for the division with Johnny Manziel starting at quarterback. Tell me that's not your dream come true right there.
And do we make the playoffs after we beat the Ravens?
So that could be tremendous. But
would we make the playoffs after we beat the Ravens?
Well, that would be if we won 3 in a row, and I think we would have to just keep our fingers crossed that Cincinnati could beat Pittsburgh. But we shot ourselves in the foot there. So that's why we needed to beat Indianapolis. One of the many reasons why, and Buffalo as well, but especially Indianapolis
and Houston for that matter. But I like the storyline you just laid out there. It's pretty good. Give me percentage. What chances would you give the Browns making the playoffs this year? 1%, 20%?
No, 25% chance at this point probably.
Okay, and what? Let's get a final score for this week against the Bengals.
Why don't we go with? Why don't we say 24-14?
What was it again? To 14? What was it?
24-14 Browns, and I think that the game doesn't necessarily seem maybe that close, but either way, I'm feeling good, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Absolutely, man. I'm gonna go 38-20 because I don't know. I like bigger numbers this year. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I appreciate you joining the show. If you want to stay on, I pulled this up. It's really only the first minute or so to listen to it. The Cleveland TV station, Fox 8, sends Little John Rinaldi. And if you're not familiar, Big Chuck and Little John, these guys have been like local. How would you describe Big Chuck and Little John, Brandon, to someone that doesn't know who they are?
Just Saturday afternoon movies during the 1980s, and they hosted a variety comedy show and B movies.
Yeah, almost like an Andy Richter, Conan O'Brien locally, something like that. But he's a little man. He's short. I actually saw him at Swings and Things one time. That's a long story. I'll tell that story. Well, I probably won't tell that story for a couple of reasons. Anyway, but here it is. If you guys missed it, it's after Marvin Lewis called Johnny Manziel a midget, they asked, how worried about you with Johnny Manziel, and how much is that going to impact your defense? Well, I'm not worried that much, all that worried about it. Why would I worry about a midget? Something stupid like that. So here's the reaction, which I think is one of the most underreported, most hilarious things of the past week.
First time I've had a chance to address all you in person, and so again, I think obviously the
Marvin Lewis talking
gone out that the the remark that I made was dumb, and caused a lot of
midget Little John sitting front row.
So again, I apologize again for that, and we've all moved on and on to football. So if there's anybody else has anything to ask me on that front, I can briefly address it. Okay. All right.
Oh, floor is open. Okay.
Yes, sir.
John Rinaldi from Fox 8, Cleveland, Ohio. Hey, Coach, based on the height difference of Hoyer and Manziel, how has your defensive approach changed for Sunday's game?
Well, I think the thing is, in looking at the 130-some plays,
you got to see Marvin Lewis's face. It doesn't even matter what he says. He's just saying blah, blah, blah. That first 10 seconds of trying not to laugh in church, trying not to fart in church, and angry that he's sitting through church. He had like every expression on his face because there's this midget asking him the question about why did you call Johnny Manziel a midget without saying it. It's pure gold. It's just absolutely hilarious. For me, it's one of the best moments, and it'll be up there in top 100 memorable Cleveland Browns moments. It's something to check out. But anyway, man, that's all I got for today's show. And I did get a package in the mail, Brandon, from a certain family in Northwest Ohio. I haven't opened it yet, but thank you for that, sir. And yours is on its way. So I really do appreciate all of you. I appreciate the fact that the Browns are in the playoffs. Let's not be kidding ourselves at this point. Let's not even fool around. Yes, Brandon's absolutely right. He's absolutely right that this is almost bonus. It's almost it's extra. It's extra credit. You know, this is all just icing on the cake. We've had a good season, but no, I'm not over it. I'm not willing to say this is enough. That's not enough. When winning a championship is the thing that you're looking for, that's what we're striving for. And that's what Manziel, I mean, you know, you win a Heisman. That's the best on the planet. That's kind of a big deal. That's an individual award, and, you know, his team definitely did very well with him, of course. But no, I'm not conceding anything. I like the storyline Brandon put together with the NFL flexing that game, Browns-Ravens, chance for the playoffs on the line, starting Johnny Manziel under the lights last game of the regular season. I love it. I'm absolutely loving that. But you know what? I mean, he's so right. We did shoot ourselves in the foot a couple of times. And you know, how many times in a season can you do that? I think you can do that once or twice. We've done it 3 or 4 times, if not 5. We've had a couple of lucky notes, which took away some of the shoot yourself in the foot notes, and those tend to balance. But I think for the times that we've had the big comebacks against Tennessee, I think we've also had weird games like that Colts game and the Ravens game that there's no way we should have lost. You know, but we found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, and maybe bringing a new quarterback in is going to spark that. This is the beginning of the Johnny Manziel era. Love him or hate him, I mean, I wonder if I should play you that. You know what? I'm going to have to. Because this was another neat thing that came out. There's another local Cleveland area comic named Mike Polk, and I'm going to play this one for you because this is the general consensus of what a lot of people think about Johnny Manziel. They either really like the kid or they really don't like him because of this reason. I think Mike Polk Jr. nails it. He sits down. The Rizzo Show host had 3-time Super Bowl champ Jared Cherry sit down with this character Mike Polk Jr. is playing called Chad Chadsworth to talk to him about his exciting new organization. I think it'll speak for itself. Pardon the language if you're one of those people that cares about that type of thing. I'm not. Actually, I think they bleep a lot of it out. So, anyway, enjoy. This is, just let it speak for itself.
Why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Cool. Well, my name's Chad Chadsworth. I am a founding member of D-Bags United for Manziel, and I'm a D-Bag.
Tell me a little bit about this organization that you're promoting.
Essentially, we are a collection of all kinds of D-Bags, united in our appreciation for the coolest and most badass...
And this is another one. It's going to be helpful, and we'll send this out on Facebook and Twitter, so check our feed. But, I mean, you got to see the visuals. He's sitting there with his shirt, with his polo shirt open, and he's got his glasses stuck in him, and he's got this backwards, he has this, this hat on. He just looks like a D-bag. That's exactly what he's doing. But as he's talking, he's making the money sign, and then it's cutting away to pictures of Johnny Manziel drunkenly talking on a telephone made of dollar bill stacks, like the whole look at me thing. You got to look at the pictures of this. But anyway, I'll try to stop interrupting it. It's so
Tell
good.
me a little bit about this organization that you're promoting.
Essentially, we are a collection of all kinds of D-Bags, united in our appreciation for the coolest and most badass quarterback in the NFL, Johnny Manziel.
Now, what do you mean when you say D-Bags of all kinds?
That's a great question, Gerard. See, there's a common misconception that there's just one type of D-bag, and that's just not true. There are toolboxes, bros, rich chachis, metros, and knockers like myself. All of them very different, but in the end, we're all D-bags.
I see.
And see, before Johnny came around, we were all scattered all over the place, and we all felt really alone. And then Johnny came and brought us all together, and he made us... Sorry, give me a second, bro. Johnny!
You good?
Cool.
So what is it about Johnny Manziel?
Hold on 1 second there, bro. It's time to axe up.
It's time to axe up. He just brings out Axe body spray. Completely blasting.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
So what is it about Johnny Manziel that draws D-bags like yourself to him?
Well, it's like he's just one of us, you know? Like whether he's just throwing up that sweet money sign or hanging out with Drake or the Biebs, just hanging out drunk on an inflatable swan, he's representing us.
And what would it mean for you to see Johnny as a starter of the Cleveland Browns?
Well, it changes everything. See, we've never had one legitimate starting D-bag quarterback in the NFL.
What about Ben Roethlisberger?
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that, bro. That is an insult to D-bags everywhere.
I apologize.
It's cool. Hit it.
Leaning in for a fist bump.
Hit it.
How might any D-bags watching get involved with your organization?
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll actually be at the Barley House on West 6th Street this Thursday night for a D-bag meet and greet / wet t-shirt contest, so come on down and get involved.
Good luck to you and all the D-bags.
Thanks, Gerard. Hey, you want a shot of Fireball?
No.
More from me, bro.
One shot of Fireball. And it closes with a picture of Johnny Manziel, eyes swollen, shut, drunk, talking to a stack of dollar bills with his money phone. Yeah, so there's quite a few reasons for people to look at Johnny Manziel and just say, well, how can we be fans of this guy? How are you supposed to do it? And they do. He makes it real hard. Now, however, let's just be fair. Let's just be fair for a second. Remember being 18? Remember being in high school when the whole world was your oyster? Could you just imagine? Seriously, could you just imagine phones everywhere? Camera phones recording everything all the time. It's like, how do you even have privacy or private moments and have a chance to be a kid and be silly and be stupid? How are you going to be doing that? I think everybody's entitled to that side of their lives. I don't think it's right to get to, I don't know. People should just have their privacy. Let's just leave it at that. People should have their opportunities to be in clubs and be out and having fun, and then they have the personal life. It's of course the money sign stuff and calling all the attention to himself that makes things a little he's calling a lot of the D-bagginess stuff to himself. If he just goes out and plays and does his stuff on the side, fine, but this constant money stuff, and if you're humble and you're a badass, people are gonna like you. Barry Sanders. I mean, he was one of the most loved players in all of sports. I mean, he didn't need to be out there. I mean, trust me, as Cleveland sports fans, we've seen this with LeBron enough. The more you say and some of the D-baggy things you do, the more bad attention that's going to come your way, and it just makes it harder. It just makes it harder to do things. If you just kind of shut up and let your game speak for itself, it kind of works out a little bit better. It's a little easier, at least. So, that's the stigma that Johnny Manziel brings to his performance. It's not just about Johnny. It's about everything that surrounds him. I mean, to a very different extent. Every player is different, but look at another Heisman quarterback from recently, well, as recently as last year, Jameis Winston, all the trouble he's getting into. I have very different opinions on that. Accusations of rape and stealing stuff from stores. I haven't seen that from Manziel, Okay, maybe the rolled up dollar bill in Las Vegas bathroom is coming close to illegal. Okay, fine. But hey, we're all going to find out this Sunday against the Bengals what Johnny Manziel is capable of doing. And you know what? I want to hear what you guys think. I want your comments. Anything Browns related, leave them. Really, one of the best places to do that is probably our YouTube channel. It just lives forever. Share it with your friends. Listen to the whole show. Put comments in as the show's going. We have people do that for our NBA shows, and it really continues the conversation there, because even if you're not joining us live, we try to read those and get back to them as often as possible. And it's your show too. I mean, we're all Browns fans here. Like I said, I didn't choose to be born with this illness, but it's what I got, so I'm making the most of it. And this year, the Browns are 7-6. We got one of the most popular athletes, rookie athletes coming into any sport this year in Johnny Manziel, at a time when LeBron James just came back to town. I mean, think about that. At a time where Kyrie Irving re-signs, at a time where Joe Hayden re-signs, at a time where Kevin Love comes over. I mean, these are things that Cleveland is not used to hearing, that we're getting some of the best players in every sport to either stay with our team instead of leave, like Albert Bell and Jim Thome and Manny Ramirez, and, go down the line of baseball players, if you will. Hell, when LeBron left the last time before he came back. This is something new for Cleveland, and, LeBron James is actually on the short list that I have for TNAM Person of the Year. Because really, you look at the Nike campaign, you look at what he's doing on HGTV, rebuilding that house with that chick, Nicole Curtis. It's bigger than sports. The Sprite commercials. It's really about kind of giving what I wanted to see LeBron James do 4 years ago, but it wasn't his time for it, is to really kind of give this nation something to look forward to, something to strive to. Definitely if you're from Ohio, it gives you something to strive to. It gives you something to strive to and go, hey man, if he can come back, we can make something happen. If he can become something, we can become something. We need more, dare I say, Charles Barkley, more role models in sports. And, LeBron James, if anything, he just gave us all a boost. Being a native Ohioan, Northeast Ohioan, about 25 minutes south of Cleveland my whole life, and then college on 2 hours west of Cleveland. It meant a great deal, so it's new for the city to kind of be on the map like this, in this way. Corey Kluber winning a Cy Young, I mean, come on. It's interesting, but it's all, and we haven't even mentioned the Buckeyes. We're going to have a really good Buckeye show coming up next week, I can imagine. We have a special guest lined up. Well, we have a couple of special guests lined up. We're going to have some real good sports shows. Some really great guests that have been on the show before and first-timers. But hey, check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Subscribe at American_media_, and like our Facebook page. My name's Brian Engelman. I'm signing out. I appreciate you. I love you, and peace.
The Unhappy Hour on thenewamericanmedia.com.